Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sar. Today I'm back with another little garden vlog update. Today's November 2nd and a lot of things have changed in the past few weeks. I have a lot of footage that I haven't uploaded only because it was really unorganized and the audio wasn't that good. I just kept finding problems with it. Maybe I'll still include some clips here and there, but for the most part, I'm going to try to start fresh this month. Yesterday, I stopped by Lowe's and I picked up some peat moss, vermiculite, and then I have a bag of compost so that I can fill this. I got some grow bags. I got them off of Amazon. They're by this brand, Winter Outfitters. They're 10-gallon ones. So this is what they look like. They're pretty substantial, honestly. I didn't know what size to go for because I wanted these in order to plant some perennial plants. So I wanted to put them like right here on the pavers, fill them up with soil, and then plant some strawberries in them along with just some perennial flowers. Also some potatoes. And they're pretty decent size. They're wider. They're not too deep. I think they'll work. The reason I wanted grow bags in addition to my garden beds is because for things like potatoes or sweet potatoes, I know that sweet potatoes create vines, right? I might be wrong about this. But because I already have my beds pretty much filled for the fall, I wanted some additional planting space. And this is a more cost-effective way because it was only like 20 bucks for a bag of 6 or less than that probably. I'll link it down below because I don't remember the exact price, but it was on sale when I bought them. And I bought the stuff to make my own potting mix. It's basically the same thing that I put in my garden bed. So it's vermiculite, compost, what else? Vermiculite, compost, and peat moss. The only other thing that I have in my garden beds that I don't have now is worm castings. Before I get to filling those, I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of an update on what's been going on with the garden because I don't know, I feel like I'm making so many mistakes that more experienced gardeners wouldn't make, but I just don't really know what to do sometimes, honestly. The first update here is going to be my roses. Can you guys see how they're much more of a red color? This one I need to cut off. This is just like a spent bloom. When I first planted the roses in and then the new buds started blooming, they came out a really hot pink magenta color. And I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe it was the pH balance of my soil, but then I realized that it was probably the soil that came in the pots because once new buds started coming out, once they had been in here for like, what, 2 weeks, the blooms actually started coming out red. Same goes with this one. This one's even more red than the one on the other trellis. The other trellis has a few hints of pink still, but this one is just a beautiful true red Don Juan rose. And then these garden beds, even last week when I did the garden tour, it was still October. And I had just seeded everything and nothing had come up yet, but look at this. I have a bunch of my root vegetables growing, which makes me so happy. And another huge change is the fact that I took the shade cloth down, which I don't know, I might have made a mistake, honestly. The reason I took it down is because we were having pretty cool days for Arizona, at least. It was in the 70s and under the shade cloth it felt even colder. And I know for a lot of places that's not cold at all, that's still warm. But here I'm used to over 100-degree weather. So when I saw the days are starting to cool down, I was like, you know what? Fall is here, the days are shorter, I need my plants to get more sunshine, and they're gonna be fine. I took it off and literally 2 days later, it started climbing back up into the 90s. And even today, it's like 91 or 92 right now. It doesn't feel too bad though because it's been a little bit more cloudy and it's really windy. So that sort of makes it a little bit more tolerable, but I sort of did regret it. I mean, I can still put it back up, but I keep watching the weather, and next week it's supposed to start climbing back down to like the mid 80s, so I think we'll be good for now. My tomato plants, remember, if you guys saw the garden tour, these were just looking so rough. I need to stake this one up a bit more. These were looking super rough, you guys, especially with the wind. So I came in like, what was it, 2 days ago, I think. No, it was sometime last week. I came in about 4 days ago and I trimmed off all of the broken pieces. These are Roma tomatoes, which means they're determinate plants, and you shouldn't top them because they're not going to get any taller than this. What I'm hoping for is that, like, right here was a leaf. This is a sucker right here. I'm hoping that it'll produce more suckers and those can turn into more main stems, and then I can get more fruit that way. I don't know if that'll work. That's just what I'm hoping for. But look at all of this new growth. All of this happened within like a week's time. So I'm really, really happy about that. They still look pretty rough, but you know what? They're hanging in there. Plants are way more resilient than I thought. This one has some foliage up top, but all of this got torn off by the wind. Like, the branches looked like this. Like this, like all just dried out from here all the way down to the stem. So this is a huge improvement. They're looking green right now. They're loving it. I'm excited. Also, my cherry tomatoes did take a bit of a hit, but that's one of the most resilient plants in my entire garden. So they're doing good right now. A lot of the branches got like bent over and looked like they could break, but they look fine right now. It still has a ton of fruit on it. And you know what? Okay, this is something that's really embarrassing, okay? I've never ever seen a cherry tomato in my life. I've never tasted one. A few would fall to the ground here and there, and I could tell that they weren't ripe. But I was like, is this what they're supposed to look like? All of the other ones are still on the plant. I thought they turned more of a yellow color. And so it's only been like 2 or 3 times over the course of the last few months that whenever one of them is dropped off, I would try it. And I was like, oh, this doesn't taste good. It's kind of bitter. Is this what I'm growing? Like, this is very underwhelming. I only did that a few times because I kept wondering, like, do I just not like the taste of them or what's going on? So yesterday I was cooking and I had some Roots and Refuge Farm videos playing in the background, and Jess mentioned how she was talking about gardening, and she mentioned ground cherries and how it's kind of common sense that if they're green and they're not ripe, you wouldn't eat them because they're toxic. And I was I was chopping stuff up and I was like, what? And so I looked it up, and yep, they're toxic when they're green. And I've had like 3 of them. So those are looking really good. My broccoli is looking amazing. I still need to spray it. You guys, in the last, I think even in my garden update, I said, I need to spray these. I'm going to get to it. And I still have not done it. It's just been so windy. And whenever I've only sprayed it once, but when I sprayed neem oil last time, there was just a tiniest bit of wind and it got all over me, and it smells pretty nasty. For the most part, they're looking good, and I mean, they're organic. But if I do see the damage get worse, then I will come in and spray. But so far, it's looking good. Maybe that's just my laziness talking. I don't want to deal with the neem oil. But anyways, these are looking good. There's some more sprouting. I don't know. I kind of feel like they're looking a little bit leggy. Is that just me? Like, look at this. They're kind of long. A little bit too long for my liking. But at the same time, I don't remember what these looked like when they first started sprouting, so maybe that's normal. As for my beans, they're doing okay. They could be doing better, but I'm not going to complain because at least they're still alive. I do have some new ones sprouting. You guys can see right there. And then some of the old ones that took the hit from that cold day are starting to put out new growth. So that's a good sign. I'm happy about that. As you guys can see here, they're still alive and hanging in there. Look at how beautiful the new sprouts look though. My herbs are doing really good as well. The basil is looking amazing. I can't wait to come in and start harvesting some. I'm going to let them get just a little bit taller, and then I'm going to come in and start using them for meals. I can pick up a few leaves right now actually. The main reason I want them to get just a little bit bigger is because I want to make some pesto. Maybe I'll even use some of the Genovese basil and the lemon basil to make pesto, because the lemon basil is so freaking good. I picked some off yesterday and I put it in a salad and it was delicious. I love that stuff. If you guys have any recipes using lemon basil for other things, let me know because it just smells so good. This is my peas rose. There's some new growth coming through, and that makes me so happy. It's looking amazing. And then over here too, oh my gosh, you guys see right there, straight ahead, there's new growth. I feel accomplished whenever I look at it because I feel like it wasn't looking good at all when it was at the garden center, and now look at it. I've helped it come alive, which makes me feel so accomplished because when other things aren't doing too well in the garden, I look at it and I'm like, you know what? At least I'm keeping something alive. When I first brought this rose plant home, it had a lot of like dead foliage and yellowing foliage. So what I did is I trimmed it down and cut off all the buds so that it could work on establishing better roots and then just getting a little bit healthier before it started putting energy towards keeping blooms like nice and alive. So the cuttings that I took from it, I tried to sprout, and I don't think I'm doing too good at it right now, honestly. They were doing really good previously until that cool day came, and it sort of just rattled the bag around that was covering them. A lot of them got pulled out of the soil and sort of knocked over and stuff, and it happened a few times because it was just so windy, and I wasn't putting them in the best spot of the garden to keep them protected. So they're right here. Like even now you see, like with the cold winds, it's sort of just, they keep going out of place. And I think I need to open this bag. I previously had them in a much bigger container. It was a 5-gallon container, and the stems are starting to turn brown, which I think means they're rotting, right? Because before they were like nice deep green color. There's one of them that's still green towards the very back, but that was one of my weaker ones because it was so skinny. The thicker ones I thought were going to do really good. They had new growth, and the new growth turned brown. So I think I kind of failed because once it started turning warmer and I had the plastic over it, it just got super hot, because if it's already 90 degrees outside and have plastic over this, it's obviously going to pretty much cook them. So I might try again at some other point, but for now, this was kind of an epic fail. Here I started some flower seeds, and I think these are doing pretty good, honestly. I have a bunch of them popping up already. I'm pretty happy with them. Once they get a little bit bigger, get their true leaves and start taking off, and the weather starts to cool down, I'm going to put them into the garden beds and into some of the grow bags because I started a ton of them. I didn't really think about how many I was starting and how much space I would need for them until after I did it, and then I was like, wait, where am I going to put all of these? My garden beds are already pretty filled to the brim. I mean, I'll find some space here and there, but that's why I'm excited about the grow bags too. So that's pretty much these. Oh, wait. Guys, see, this is one thing I love about the garden. If I don't come out here for one day, the following day there's something brand new that just amazes me. So these zinnia plants, look at this. Oh my gosh, they're gonna start opening up. I was at Lowe's the other day too. Yesterday, actually, I was at Lowe's, and I thought about getting some more zinnia seeds because these I bought from a random website. I like more of those softer pink colors, and they didn't have any like that at Lowe's, and they were all really bright, like hot pinks, and those are really pretty too. They're just not my favorite. I thought once other online seed companies like Baker's Creek or even Am I Gardener have zinnia seeds in stock, I'll buy some from them. But if I get too impatient, I might just pick some up at Lowe's. They're actually pretty big plants and pretty hardy. I only have a few though. Out of all of the seeds that I spread on here, these are all of the plants that popped up. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 zinnia flower plants, which isn't a great germination rate for the amount of seeds that I tossed in there, but I'm gonna try seeds from other companies and see if they do better. Now, as for my pumpkin plants, look at that big pumpkin. I'm so excited. That's probably the healthiest pumpkin that it's put out so far. This one right here, that one right there also looks pretty good. And then this one right here I need to cut off because it started rotting. But the pumpkin plant's doing pretty good as well. Even though the temperatures have started climbing up again because of the wind, I think it's doing good now. Now, as for this garden bed, this is one of the ones that makes me the happiest, you guys, because I've mentioned before that this one just had nothing growing in it since I started this garden. And the only things that were here before were the rose bush that I put in a few weeks ago, and then this pea plant, and then this, I don't know what flower this is, but this flower that I put in not too long ago. Now look at this, I have a bunch of Oregon snow peas right here ready to start climbing up the trellis, and then I have a lot of my root vegetables just everywhere. Look at that. That is so beautiful. And then towards the end here I have spinach. The same goes for this one. This one I still, oh actually there's a ton new growth compared to yesterday. So I have a bunch of carrots right here. My carrots are germinating. Oh, that's so awesome. Okay, so my carrots are popping up. I planted some scarlet nantes and little finger carrots. And then over here I have some onions. Wait, so I have onions like right here. I see some starting to pop up there. They're barely starting to sprout. And then my cabbages are doing pretty dang good. I've harvested quite a bit of okra and it's still going strong. I don't know if it's gonna keep putting out more okra though, because I don't know if all of the fruit comes from the top because that's where I've been harvesting from, or also shoots come out from the sides, because when I look here, you see these? I don't know, it's new growth, but I don't know if that's new growth for leaves or if I'll get okra from the sides, because this is the last okra pod from the very top. I really like okra. I'm definitely going to keep growing it. I've said that so many times, but I really am in love with it. Yesterday I put some in some tofu scrambles. So I sauteed it with onions and spices and then added tofu to it. It was really good. Look at here, I have some beans popping up again. These are the tiger's eye bush bean. I see green right here and right here as well. So they're doing pretty good. My husband brought me a smoothie. He's a sweetheart. It's a banana chocolate smoothie. A banana chocolate peanut butter smoothie. It's so good. He's so sweet. Okay, so anyways, back to the video. These watermelon plants did take a little bit of a hit up at the top, and I think that was the shade cloth sort of like rubbing back and forth when the wind got really strong, but they're still doing good. Ever since the weather started cooling down, I feel like the flowers that they've been putting off are bigger and like healthier looking. I think it's just the weather. Now they're not so focused on just staying alive. They're actually putting out a bunch of fruit. The crisscross watermelon plants have one watermelon growing right there. Can you guys see that? That thing just grew like crazy. One day we just came out here and I was like, what the heck? It's just dangling there. I don't know how I'm gonna add support to it. I once saw someone from Arizona too growing watermelons, and they had those huge ones with no support. They were just dangling there, and I was like, can mine do that too? So I don't know, maybe it doesn't need support. Maybe that's less work for me. Look at this one, and I'm telling you, the flowers on these just look so much better right now in November. This one over here that used to be tiny a few weeks ago is also looking pretty dang awesome. And this one's still going to keep getting huge because the tendril has barely started to dry up. Do you guys see how big it is? It has started pushing itself up off of the trellis. But look at this. My bean plants have started putting off flowers, and soon I will have some beans to try from here. I was pretty sad that it looked dead when that cold day came, but right now it's looking pretty good, so I'm happy about that. I can't wait to try these. So I had 3 squash plants right here, which I know I planted them too close together. I had way more actually before that, and I ended up thinning a bunch of them out, but they looked dead, you guys. I was so sure that they were just, I was done with these. I took one out that was like over here because no leaves were left on it, and these, the leaves that were on these were actually pretty tattered. They look like this, and over the past 3 or 4 days they've begun putting out new growth. As you guys can see here, I think I should probably come in here and trim off the dead leaves though, right? The damaged leaves, so that they don't take up a ton of energy. That's what I think. But you let me know if you have a garden and this has happened to you. Should I do that? I started my garden back in July, and I think so far October and November have been my favorite months of the garden so far, because everything just looks so live. And even after getting hit pretty hard the other day The plants are just so resilient and so green, and everything just looks so much healthier because we don't have all of that intense heat. This is what I need help with, you guys. This is my clementine tree. This one I feel has been through so much, and it's just not looking the greatest. It has a lot of leaf curl. A lot of leaf curl. The leaves are themselves are still green. They're taking on a bit of a yellow tinge. I don't know if you can see in the sun. Versus these leaves back here that are like a nicer, darker green, and they're stiff. The ones over here feel like just thinner. And even these bigger leaves over here that were not curled before are starting to curl now. So I don't know what's going on with it. That day that it was super windy, it did kind of get pulled up a little bit, and there were some roots exposed on this side, so we went in and covered those up, but it still is not looking the greatest. So a few months ago I bought some strawberry seeds from Baker's Creek for alpine strawberries, which are smaller and sweeter than the commercial strawberries that you find at the stores, but I wanted to try them and see how they taste versus the regular ones that do produce runners that you can also find online or at garden centers. So I bought one at Lowe's yesterday. Here it is. This is from Bonnie's Plants, and it's a keynote strawberry. So I'm going to plant this in today into the grow bags. It's pretty dry, so it needs some of that moisture. This variety puts out runners, and then those create new strawberry plants, and they sort of just keep multiplying. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted grow bags for them, because I don't want them to take over my garden beds, because I want that for other vegetables that I want to grow. So I'm going to go inside and I'm going to make lunch, and I'm going to come back out here and then sort of plant them up with you guys in one of the grow bags. And so yeah, that's basically the last like little addition to my garden right now. And once I sow the other ones, the alpine strawberries, in December, I'll try and film that for you guys as well. So this is going to be a little bit tough because I don't have anything to mix this in. My husband has a wheelbarrow, but it's at my mother-in-law's house, and our car is not big enough to bring it back home. So I'm just gonna make do with what I have. I just have one of these older containers from the nursery, and then I have my grow bag, but I feel like the water will just come through, and I need to rehydrate my peat moss. So I'm gonna try really hard not to make a mess. If I had a wheelbarrow or like a really large container, that would make me so much easier. So I'm gonna do 2 parts peat moss, and then 1.5 parts compost, and then half part of vermiculite. You can also use coco coir. I just couldn't find any at the Lowe's that I went to. I can't tell if I'm in frame, but I just got back from Lowe's. I picked up 3 bags of compost and then another bag of vermiculite. I finished filling up the bags with the peat moss. 1 big bag of it was enough to fill up half of all 6 10-gallon grow bags, and I had 1 2 cubic foot bag of compost, but it wasn't enough, so I stopped by Lowe's real quick and I bought 3 more. I'll show you guys what it looks like so far. They're looking pretty good, honestly. But alright, time to put my gloves on and get back to work. In the end, this is what it looks like. I left this gap right here a little bit wider. That way when these fill out, it sort of like creates almost like a little hedge. And then this is gonna be the main little entrance. And I tidied up. Oh, I forgot the ball. Okay, it's fine. I tidied up. And this is what it looks like. It looks nice. I might make these three a little bit closer to here. That way, yeah, I think I need to move these a little bit over. But that's what I like about the grow bags, is that they're really easy to just move around. That's the end of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for joining me today as I got things done around the garden. I bet my makeup is all streaky. Melted off by now, but it was a lot of fun, honestly. I'm exhausted and ready to go inside and make dinner. So thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.